For the first time in years, we have a glimpse of Vladimir Putin's endgame in Ukraine, with three core demands put on the table right after the Alaska summit with Donald Trump. But as Moscow talks peace, it's also strengthening ties with New Delhi. We'll break down how India's top diplomat, S. Jaishankar, flew to Moscow and fired back at the US, asking point blank, why single out India? From global power plays to a tragic crash on a Florida highway that has prompted Washington to slam the brakes on all new visas for foreign truckers, endangering a critical supply chain. And right here at home, the government is secretly scrambling to save Vodafone Idea from a collapse that could reshape our entire telecom market. All this while one of the top figures at Apollo Hospitals cashes out a massive 1,400 crore rupees stake, just as the company embarks on a huge expansion. Good morning and welcome to Top of the Morning by Mint, your daily smart briefing on what matters, from big moves in business to headlines shaping India and the world. We cut through the noise so you start your day informed and ahead. It's Friday, August 22nd. I'm Nelson John. It's a packed day. Let's get into it. For the first time in years, we now have a clear picture of what Russia actually wants to end the war in Ukraine. According to sources close to Kremlin, Vladimir Putin has put three core demands on the table. First, Ukraine must give up the entire Donbas region, where Moscow already controls nearly 90%. Second, Kyiv must abandon its NATO ambitions. And third, Ukraine must remain neutral with a guarantee that no Western troops will be ever stationed on its soil. The details surfaced just days after Putin's 3-hour summit with Donald Trump in Alaska, their first in over 4 years. Insiders say it was the most concrete discussion yet of a potential peace deal. Putin is said to be willing to freeze front lines in southern Zaporizhia and Kherson and even return small slivers of territory around Kharkiv and Sumy. Still, the sticking point is clear. President Vladimir Zelensky has vowed to never cede internationally recognized Ukrainian land, calling the Donbas a fortress holding back Russian advances. NATO membership, meanwhile, is written into Ukraine's constitution. The White House and NATO haven't commented, but Trump has pitched himself as a peacemaker, even hinting at a future trilateral summit with himself, Putin, and Zelensky. I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended, Trump said. But European leaders remain skeptical, warning this could be less about peace and more about cementing Russian gains. India's top diplomat sat down with Vladimir Putin in Moscow this week, sending a sharp signal to Washington. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met the Russian President and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov just as the U.S. slapped fresh tariffs on Indian exports and warned New Delhi over its energy trade with Moscow. At the joint briefing, Jaishankar didn't mince his words. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil. That is China. We are not the biggest LNG buyers. That is the European Union. So why single out India? He asked, calling the U.S. logic very perplexing. The U.S. has accused India of profiteering by reselling cheap Russian crude and has hit Indian goods with tariff as high as 50%. Now, Jaishankar pushed back, reminding that Washington itself once urged India to buy Russian oil to stabilize global markets. Incidentally, we also buy a significant amount from the U.S., he added. For Russia, the visit was about showing solidarity. Lavrov spoke of a new international order, where Russia sees India as a key partner. Moscow's envoy in Delhi went further, calling Western pressure non-colonial. Jaishankar pressed for trade balance, seeking better access for Indian exports in pharma, textiles and agriculture, while acknowledging concerns like reports of Indians serving in the Russian army. The message here is clear. India is not walking away from Russia despite American penalties. As Jaishankar puts it, India-Russia ties have been among the steadiest of the major relationships since World War II. A tragic crash in Florida has sparked a sweeping U.S. government response. On August 12th, 3 people were killed when Harjinder Singh, an Indian national who entered the U.S. illegally in 2018, tried to make a reckless U-turn in a tractor trailer. Singh had managed to get a California commercial driver's license despite being undocumented. Now, Washington slammed the brakes on all new worker visas for foreign truck drivers, effective immediately. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced the freeze on X, saying, "The increasing number of foreign drivers on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting American truckers." The case has turned into a political flashpoint. The Department of Homeland Security revealed Singh was denied a work permit during Donald Trump's presidency, but secured one under Joe Biden. California Governor Gavin Newsom is also under fire, with DHS officials blaming his state's DMV for giving Singh a license. 3 innocent people were killed in Florida because Gavin Newsom's DMV issued an illegal alien a CDL, said DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin. Singh now faces trial and will be deported afterwards. But the fallout is bigger than one driver. With worker visas paused, the trucking industry, already short on drivers, could feel the pinch even as the White House tries to show it's taking safety and border security seriously. Vodafone Idea's survival is back on the Prime Minister's desk. The Department of Telecommunications has quietly sent a note to the PMO proposing fresh relief measures for the struggling carrier. Among the options, another 2-year pause on paying statutory dues, smaller annual payouts, and even waivers on penalties. Now here's why this matters. Vodafone Idea owes nearly 2 trillion rupees to the government, including 83,400 crore rupees in adjusted gross revenue dues. Starting March, it's on the hook for 18,000 crore rupees every year, double what it actually generates in operational cash. Now, without bank funding, the company admits it may not last beyond this fiscal year. The stakes are high. Vodafone Idea has almost 200 million users and employs over 18,000 people. A collapse would leave India's telecom market as a 2-player race between Reliance Jio and Airtel. The government already owns 49% of Vodafone Idea after converting part of its dues into equity. But Communications Minister Mr. Scindia has ruled out taking that stake any higher, warning it would turn the firm into a PSU. Banks, meanwhile, refuse to lend until the AGR mess is resolved. Vodafone has been pleading for clarity, warning that its 50,000 crore rupee capex plans for 4G and 5G rollout has been stalled. The Supreme Court has already rejected its plea to waive off the 45,000 crore rupees in interest and penalties. Now, even Airtel has sought partial relief, asking the government to convert some of its AGR dues into equity. But officials fear a domino effect. Help one operator and others will line up too. Apollo Hospitals is making headlines again. This time not for expansion, but for a big promoter stake sale. Suneeta Reddy, the managing director and daughter of founder Pratap C. Reddy, is set to sell 1.8 million shares in the company on Friday, worth nearly 1,400 crore rupees. Now that's about 1.25% of Apollo's equity at a floor price of 7,747 rupees a share, a small discount to Thursday's closing price. After the deal, Reddy's personal holding will drop from 3.36% to just over 2%. Morgan Stanley India is running the sale. The timing is interesting. Apollo is in the middle of an aggressive expansion drive, planning to add 4,300 beds over the next 5 years with an investment of more than 7,600 crore rupees. 6 new hospitals are expected to go live this year alone. And it's not just hospitals. Apollo is also spinning off its pharmacy and digital health arm into a new listed entity, Apollo Health Tech, within the next 18 months, part of a large effort to unlock shareholder value. Financially, Apollo is on a solid footing. In the June quarter, revenue rose 15% year-on-year to 5,842 crore rupees. EBITDA jumped 26% and net profit surged 42% to 433 crore rupees. Growth came across the board: healthcare services, diagnostics, and retail health. So while Suneeta Reddy trims her stake, Apollo's bigger story is still about growth and scale as private hospital chains like Max, Narayana, and Aster race to dominate India's fast-growing healthcare market. That's all for today. Thank you for joining in. We're eagerly looking forward to our next Top of the Morning episode, which will be packed with the latest news. Until then, this is Nelson John signing off. Have a great weekend.